Okay, today we're going to restore an old window sill that needs some spackle, some caulking, and some paint, and we're going to make it look good. Okay, so today we're going to clean up these windows. We got to fill it with a little bit of spackle. We got to clean it up with a little bit of household cleaner and a few rags, and we're going to spackle the thick joints, cover the brad holes, as well as do some caulking around all the edges and seams so it's seamless. And then we're going to go ahead and mix up some paint and then show you the techniques and the proper tools in cutting in the window freehand. We're not going to use any tape on this project. We're just going to be able to take our brush, cut into the corners without getting it onto the wall or the window. So stay tuned and hopefully you learn something. I'm going to show you how to use spackle or patch so you can patch up some of these brad holes that you would typically shoot into any trim work or casing around doors and windows. And so I'm going to show you the technique and the proper tools. Personally, I like to get a really thin trowel that's flexible so I can press it into the joint, and I'm going to show you a real quick easy way to put it on and make it flat. How to patch a brad hole is you just get a little bit of joint compound, you put it over your patch hole, and you swipe it in two directions. You swipe some on pretty generously, and then you swipe it off in a perpendicular direction, and then that hole disappears. So you swipe it on generously and you swipe it off at a different angle and the hole disappears. And again, two more holes, swipe it and then come back. There you go. Perfectly clean piece of wood ready to paint. Okay, so the next step after spackling all our brad holes is we need to caulk all the seams and make it look like a solid piece of wood rather than having joints exposed in the corners, and then we've got a little gap here where the door trim overlaps the window trim overlaps the window casing. So we got to fill that joint, fill all these cracks, and fill right up against this window here. We don't want moisture getting in or out. We want it to look nice and clean, and we want it to look like a smooth finished surface. So what I use is, this is a window and door and trim caulking. I like to use the white base because the clear tends to not accept paint as well, even though it says paintable. I can see a sheen difference when I use the clear caulking on my doors and windows. Let's go ahead and do a little demonstration. Caulking gun is loose. You set it down here and slide it under the forks in the front, and then you squeeze it a couple times to make it tight. Alright, so now we know our plunger is pushing against the back of the caulking to push it through the nozzle. Alright, so what you do is you look really closely, you'll see some lines at a diagonal on top of this tip. And that'll tell you how wide your opening is going to be. So you want an 1/8 inch bead or a 1/4 inch bead, or you have to fill a really big gap, so you can go down to 5/16, which is plenty for most applications. But we're going to do a 1/4 inch or less. So I'm going to look right on here. I got an 1/8 inch and I've got a 1/4 inch. I'm going to go right in between that. Alright, so cut away from you with a good sharp knife. And what I like to do is kind of slice it as I'm pushing through, and the tip will come off. But I'm not going to go puncture this yet because we have an open caulking tube right here, but some of these caulking guns, this is just a standard few dollar one from Home Depot. It's probably $5 or so. But on here, it has a little wire that recesses back down into the gun itself. That is actually used to go down the tube, and you poke it about 5 or 6 times just to get a puncture wound in the sealed cap on the inside of this. Poke it a few times, and then when you squeeze through, it's going to tear with the pressure of the caulking that's going to come out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and caulk this joint right here, right above the baseboard. This is just going to be a real quick sample before I do the windows, just to show you how to apply the caulking, how to finish the caulking and shape it with your finger. I don't typically like to use those caulking tools because it builds up on the tool and then it spreads everywhere if you touch anything, and I have more control with my finger. I can press it into a groove that's wider, and I can lighten the pressure when it's a real thin seam. So we're going to go ahead and put some in and start here in the corner. Apply a little bit of caulking, and then once it starts flowing, I'm going to pull. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect on your first pass, but again, the caulking is coming out of the tube. It's real slow right now because I didn't put a lot of pressure, but I want to relieve that pressure by pushing this. You hear that click? Well, it took the pressure off, so this is not going to come out anymore. So typically right when I pull off, I'll push that release and it stops the pressure. So how to finish the caulking, I don't know if you can see it here, but it's not perfect and it doesn't have to be. You just go ahead and take your finger and push it right in the corner there and shape it with your finger. I'm putting a lot of pressure against the wall because I don't want to repaint my wall, but I'm gonna go ahead and repaint the baseboard. So I want to push the caulking down into the baseboard more than I am into the wall. There we go. Alright, so when I'm finished using my caulking gun, I usually take a little bit of excess right here and I kind of ball it up around the tip, and that'll, when it dries, it'll help cap the caulking so I can use it for later when I still have quite a bit left. And then on top of that, I'll either throw a 16-penny nail down into that hole and wrap it in plastic, or with this bulb of caulking, I'll just put some plastic over it and then I'll twist it so it can't breathe. And then I put it right underneath the collar here. So it holds it in place. And now my caulking is sealed and I can store it for a short amount of time, maybe a couple weeks, and still use it without having to throw away a dry tube of caulking. Okay, now that we're done caulking and spackling all the holes and all the joints, we're ready to prep for painting. One thing you want to do on a pre-painted surface is you want to wash it one more time. Do a final wipe down with what they call TSP. This is kind of a degreaser / paint conditioner. You don't want to clean your walls with this regularly because it will take off the sheen, but basically it turns your paint coat into a primer coat to allow us to put a second coat over all our trim and casing work here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I like to use the Wooster shortcut, they call it. It's just a small brush that you hold in your hand so you can actually get into where you want to go with nice precision and dexterity in your wrist. So the Wooster short brush and Zebra. Zebra is a new brand and they come out with a lot of unique shapes of brushes. This is a square on a bevel, and it actually says on here, this is for windows, ledges, and cabinetry. And so this is a great brush for precise work when you want to get really fine detail. It has a finer bristle brush, and I believe there's more bristles per square inch than a standard Wooster or Putty brush. You may have to use both. Use the Zebra for these intricate corners and details, and then use the standard paintbrush for the surfaces. And then you can cut back in with the details. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna pour some paint. All right, so I got my paintbrush. I'm gonna use the Zebra because I'm gonna do this edge right here. And then I've got my paint bucket, and all you do is just dip a little bit in there. And then you want to rub the excess off in your paint bucket so you don't have too much paint on your brush so you drip. And that's what you want to avoid, is you want to avoid drips. So what you do is you come in and use the bevel of the paintbrush. So I'm using the bevel and I'm stroking down and away from it. So right now I'm focusing on the surface of the trim that's actually touching my wall. And then I'll come back and fill in the rest. All right, there it is. Just a quick demo, and you don't have to go this slow. I'm just taking my time to show you how to angle the brush and push it into these corners. And then you want to do a nice light stroke as to get rid of as many brush strokes as you can, because you don't want texture. You want a nice smooth finish. So there you go, and we'll cut to time lapse. So what we got here is a nice finished paint surface around the window trim. As you see, the window next to it is not covered, still needs a coat of paint. But over here we have a nice looking window trim.